You found your way to Whispers of Crimes, a quiet corner where the shadows of the past are gently told. Here, we speak of real crimes and mysteries, not to shock or scare, but to wonder, to reflect, and maybe to help you fall asleep. So close your eyes, let your thoughts slow down, and come with me into tonight's case. It was an ordinary Sunday morning at Manila's busiest airport until an SUV suddenly tore through the departure gate at full speed. Glass shattered, screams echoed. Within seconds, 2 lives were gone. What caused the crash? Was it panic, negligence, or something worse? This is the story of the NAIA crash, a moment of recklessness that shook an entire nation. Chapter 1: A Sunday Morning at the Airport. It was the morning of May 4th, 2025. A typical Sunday at Ninoy Aquino International Airport Terminal 1. The sun was up early, and families were crowding around the curbside drop-off zone, some in tears, some in a rush, and others just trying to beat the lines. One such family was there for a bittersweet reason. A father, an overseas Filipino worker, was saying goodbye to his wife and their 5-year-old daughter. The scene was ordinary until it wasn't. At 8:55 a.m., a black Ford Everest SUV was parked near the departure area. The driver had just dropped someone off and was reportedly preparing to leave. But then, within seconds, the vehicle suddenly lunged forward. Without warning, it crashed through the metal railing, mounted the curb, and plowed directly into the terminal walkway. The sickening sound of steel, shattering glass, and screams filled the air. In a blink, the morning calm was shattered. What should have been a safe space, a controlled, high-security airport terminal, was now a disaster zone. Chapter 2: The driver, a moment of panic. Behind the wheel of the SUV was Sinlao Gonzales, a 47-year-old licensed professional driver from Batangas. Gonzales wasn't a new driver. He had years of experience, a clean record, and no known health issues. Yet, in that critical moment, something went catastrophically wrong. According to Gonzales, a car had suddenly passed in front of him, startling him. He claimed that, in a moment of panic, he pressed the gas pedal instead of the brake. The result? A full-force acceleration into the crowded pedestrian area. Authorities didn't find evidence of another vehicle obstructing him. CCTV footage later contradicted his claim no sedan had passed in front. What they saw instead was a vehicle that inexplicably accelerated from a stop, jumped the barrier, and rammed into the building. Gonzales was arrested on the spot and later charged with reckless imprudence resulting in homicide and multiple injuries. The Land Transportation Office suspended his driver, as licensed for 90 days, and ordered a show-cause hearing. While his drug and alcohol tests came back negative, it was clear this was not a mechanical failure. This was human error. Chapter 3: Victims of a preventable tragedy. Amid the twisted metal and shards of glass lay the casualties. Among the first confirmed dead was a 5-year-old girl, the daughter of the OFW. She had been standing just feet from the terminal doors, holding her mother's hand. The impact was so violent, she was pinned and died at the scene. Beside her was a 28-year-old man, later identified as a Dubai-based passenger. He had been preparing to enter the terminal when the SUV struck. He too was killed on the spot. Several others were injured, including the little girl's mother, who was later rushed to San Juan de Dios Hospital, along with 3 other wounded bystanders. She survived, but her life, like many others, was forever changed. What started as an ordinary airport drop-off had become a national tragedy. Images of the child's slippers, luggage scattered across the blood-stained pavement, and the crushed vehicle made headlines across the Philippines. Chapter 4: Cracks in the system in the hours following the crash, questions began to surface, questions that demanded uncomfortable answers. Chief among them, how did the SUV get that far? The airport was supposed to be a controlled space, with bollards metal posts installed to prevent exactly this kind of intrusion. But the posts bent easily under the SUV's weight. Experts later revealed that these were not crash-rated barriers. In short, they were decorative, not functional. Architects and safety engineers weighed in online and in media interviews, pointing to a history of overlooked infrastructure standards. These bollards were not designed to withstand vehicular impact, one analyst said. They were installed for aesthetics, not safety. In a place as sensitive as an airport terminal, where every inch should be secure, the failure to install proper anti-ram barriers was not just a design flaw, it was a deadly oversight. Chapter 5. Immediate fallout and government response. The incident mobilized the government. San Miguel Corporation, which had recently taken over operations under the new NAIA Infrastructure Corporation, released a statement expressing deep regret. Raymond Ng, SMC's president, pledged to cover all medical costs for the injured and support the families of the deceased. Transportation Secretary Vince Dixon arrived at the site within hours, giving televised interviews to a shaken public. He confirmed the timeline of events, the initial findings, and reiterated that this may not have been intentional, but it was still preventable. The Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines and the PNP's Aviation Security Group launched simultaneous investigations. The Philippine Red Cross, first on the scene, reported that the victims received immediate treatment, but the trauma left behind would last far longer. Meanwhile, LTO moved swiftly, ordering an audit of professional driver certifications and suspending Gonzales from operating any vehicle pending the outcome of the criminal case. Chapter 6. A nation in mourning and fury. Social media erupted. Hashtags like hashtag justice for the child and hashtag NACrash trended across platforms. Filipinos shared videos, eyewitness accounts, and grief-stricken tributes. The face of the 5-year-old girl smiling in happier days circulated across Facebook and Twitter, turning her into the symbol of a nation's sorrow, but there was also anger. One viral post from a civil engineer bluntly stated, "The child didn't die because of a reckless driver alone. She died because a safety bollard failed. Corruption kills." People demanded accountability not just from the driver, but from airport designers, government inspectors, and infrastructure contractors. The public called for immediate reform. Why weren't the bollards crash-rated? Why was pedestrian safety treated like an afterthought? Videos of the OFW father, who had just returned from abroad to bury his daughter, were aired on primetime news. His cries, heard outside the funeral home, resonated across the country. Chapter 7. Lessons and a lingering void. In the days that followed, NA Terminal 1 underwent a rapid assessment. Crash-rated bollards were ordered, security was tightened, and airport personnel received updated training. Daughter announced new guidelines for terminal infrastructure and professional drivers, including quarterly drug testing and advanced emergency handling workshops. But for many, these actions came too late. The family of the little girl declined interviews after the burial, but her father issued one final message: "I worked hard abroad to give her a better future. I never imagined I would come home to bury her." The SUV crash at NAIA Terminal 1 wasn't an act of terror. It wasn't a freak natural disaster. It was a man-made tragedy born out of panic, neglect, and a system that overlooked safety in favor of convenience. 2 lives lost, several others forever changed, and an entire nation reminded of the terrible cost of complacency. That's all for tonight's story. Another thread in the web of true crime, quietly unraveling as the night goes on. If you're still with me, thanks for listening. And if sleep has already taken you, May your dreams be peaceful and your mind at ease. I'll be here next time by the fire with another story waiting to be told. Good night, and don't forget to lock your doors.